I 100% agree. I think we need to get every person who's in a career get their butt in a classroom or get their butt in and be realistic. I know a lot of people who picked a career because they were sold it was so great and like people looked up to it, and then they do the job and there's a lot of drawbacks.
Yeah.
And I think you need to tell kids not just a sexy version of like being a doctor or being an entrepreneur. You need to tell them sometimes it looks like this and some days it looks like this.
You're listening to the CFL podcast, where possibility is at work. Here, we explore what it means to empower learners, connect communities, create impact, and help Nevada thrive. Each episode shares stories and ideas from the people reimagining what learning can look like in our community and beyond. Because when we learn, build, and dream together, anything is possible.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeanine Collins, the co-founder of the Center for the Future of Learning. And today we're so excited to have Noel Hurst on the CFL podcast. Noel is somebody I really respect and admire. She brings years of business experience, innovation experience to this conversation. And we're really excited to dive in and explore her perspectives on things that I think will help us unpack real-world learning, meaningful experiences, and how to make things stick in ways that matter to us. So, Noel, thank you for being here today.
Of course.
You have a really cool set of experiences that you bring to this conversation. So before we really dive into some of these questions, I'd love to just invite you to tell us about your story and your journey.
I was born and raised in Las Vegas, so I'm a product of the Las Vegas public school system. There was only 3 years when we moved to Illinois, and so I did get a taste of the Illinois public school system. And then mostly went to college also in Nevada.
Yeah.
I have my mother is a teacher. So first and foremost, whatever I'm about to say and all my hot takes, like I have so much respect for teachers. I've never seen someone work harder in my entire life.
Yep.
She literally brought me to school 2 hours before and we stayed 2 to 3 hours after. Like I saw all of the endless amount of love and time she put into it, and is one of the only people I know that love their jobs. So I have like a high amount of respect for teaching. I started off like my first real career was working at Zappos.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting, especially for Vegas. Before that, I worked in a casino, and I was like, this is not for me. And that was really cool because I got to try a lot of things. And the general attitude was, well, if you build it, then we'll need a manager for it. Like, so if you kept building stuff, you could then keep moving up with whatever you were building, which is, like, for me, was like super exciting. And I was very nonlinear. I did like every job you could do every 2 years. I would like switch the job because I was like, I want to know how that works. So I love systems. The biggest thing that I built there was we acquired a company called 6pm.com. We built that from absolutely nothing with almost no resources to $1 billion in recurring revenue business, which was great. I can say I've built $1 billion business, but I'm not a billionaire, which is the saddest part of all. And learned a lot there. I had the weirdest job at Zappos, which is when I was the director of the Knowledge Society, which was a program that Tony Hsieh invested in because he met a bunch of teenagers and was blown away by their knowledge and was like, how come we don't have this in Vegas? So he invested in it and asked me to be the director. The Knowledge Society is a program for 13 to 17-year-olds, and we taught them emerging exponential technologies, mindsets, and skill sets. But I've only ever worked in business. I've never actually been a teacher.
Sure.
And my job wasn't to become their teacher. I talked to them like they were interns. That was kind of my point of view on it. And that was super eye-opening to get into education in a very untraditional way and have an untraditional relationship with students.
Yeah.
And then from there, I did a startup, which failed. So I have the big F badge of failed startup, which I feel like some people are like, yeah, you need to have that.
You
like,
do.
Check. And so it was called Alt Casa. We had investment and all of the things, and we were accepted into an accelerator that was super hard to get into, and that was exciting. But ultimately it failed. And then I have 2 jobs right now. So I work for a company called Codingscape, and we make custom software for folks. And I love the culture. It's some ex-Zappos folks, and it's great. I love having coworkers and doing all that. And then on top of that, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And finally, I was like, it's time. So I have my own business. It's in the Arts District in downtown Las Vegas. It's called Republic Goods. It's like an in real life Poshmark. I have so much karmic debt to make up for selling stuff no one needed at Zappos, that I took all my knowledge of how to do e-commerce and retail and customer service and put that into a business that actually does good in the world and is good in the community. And so that is Republic Goods. So.
Okay, so that's
all the things.
I think it's all the things. It's a pretty incredible story and journey. You said you're very nonlinear, and
yes.
I think that when you talk about the different experiences that you've had, it feels to me like there is, maybe it's not a straight line, but there's connective tissue when I hear that. For me, it's you're building. And you're learning, like you're building, and then you're learning through your building, and you're building the next thing through what you're learning. It feels very, that iterative word.
Yes.
It feels like you're just constantly taking things in and then exploring it. Can you talk a little bit about like how you learn through all those roles?
I think a little bit of it is audacity.
Okay.
Which is something that we are not usually taught, especially as women, is to like, I see it in men a lot.
Yeah.
Like you'll see a guy who's like, I can run that project. And you look at you're like, well, what have you run before? Nothing. But I'm here and I'm willing to try.
Yeah.
And like, that's enough. And like, I'll see women who have actually run projects, been very successful, but it's slightly different than the thing they've done. And they don't have the audacity to like put their hand up. So I think part of it is just the audacity to think you could figure it out.
Yeah.
Between like my ability to learn new things and the people I know, like I'm resourceful. So even if I can identify the things I don't understand, but I know that like Jeanine understands them, like I'll just call you and be like, do you know how to do this, or someone?
Yeah.
And that's like 99% of trying new things.
Yes.
So it's like mindset.
Yeah.
That's
well,
it.
and it's also humility.
So
Low
low ego.
Low
Maybe
ego.
I have to fail a lot.
Well, the audacity coupled with like this sort of humble curiosity is what I'm hearing, which I really resonates with me.
Yes.
Because I think there is something about having the audacity to say, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to go.
I'm going to learn, or I'm going to figure it out.
Yes.
I think a lot of it also is not just that mindset, but the mindset of how to fail. And you'll hear me say the word experiment like 1,000 times.
Yes.
Because experiment makes it safe to not know, and then also makes you be intentional about what you're doing and measure in some way if it's working or not working. And then it keeps you from going down a path where you're just like beating your head against the wall, which is like, no one likes to do that, but we do it.
So audacity, curiosity, awareness of what you know and what you don't know, so that you can pull in the knowledge that you're missing.
Yeah.
And an experimental mindset, so that you're testing to learn, and that tells you where you go next.
Yep. Yeah, and usually I do things that no one will die if we fail. So like, to be fair, I'm always like, if we fail, someday we'll think it's funny. Like, maybe not today, but one day this will be a really good story, like at the very least.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I think that when I think about education systems, I think about learning systems, so much of the energy you just described feels
like the
missing.
opposite. It's
feels
high
missing.
stakes. Education feels stressful and like high stakes.
And high stakes. And yet, I was a classroom teacher. I was a high school dance teacher.
I know, LVA, right?
Well, I came from LVA, and I
love
taught
LVA.
it. I came from LVA. I taught it in the Clark County School District at Bonanza and Spring Valley High Schools, and it was eye-opening to have such an incredible experience as a high school student that really shifted and transformed the way I saw myself. I understood creative process, innovation, experimentation. It was embraced. And recognizing what that gave me the audacity to do as a creator, and then really feeling excited about the opportunity to empower other young people to figure that out within themselves, and then being in spaces that felt fundamentally misaligned from, one, the belief that they should be creators, and two, the conditions to help them try and fail and learn and build and grow.
Yeah.
Which feels really fundamental to learning.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Right?
I mean, you almost don't get anything right out of the gate. I'm like learning how to walk.
You fall down.
I've never seen a kid just start walking the first time. And that's totally acceptable. Why isn't that acceptable in other things? I don't get it.
Yeah,
especially in a school.
It's a great question. No, it's a great question, and I think there's a tension between we want kids. What kind of learning we're talking about? What stage in the continuum? I know you and I are both parents. My daughter's graduating 3rd grade today. You have a fifth
grader, 6th grader, and a freshman.
Right? Oh wow.
I know.
I know. My son's in 8th grade next year. So okay, so that learning to read. Really important. Sounding out letters.
Yes.
Being able to connect those words to ideas and then make meaning of those words.
Yes.
Is like that shift that's happening by the 3rd grade time frame. We talk a lot about foundational literacy being really important. There's some things we know about how to help kids do that well.
Yeah.
So doing that feels important to me.
Yeah.
If we figure that out, that feels important. The thing is that the kids are always different. So the things that work, and there are things that work well for lots of kids, but there's always this like human component.
Yes.
And I saw both of my kids learn to read very differently.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's one thing that sometimes we don't want to deprive anybody of what we want them to have the ability to read and do math and explore things that are important to them. And where's the tension point in a learner's journey around being given things to do and then being able to take those things and do something with them?
I think like a perfect example, so my son Sawyer, something that I think is obvious to all of us, but somehow we like throw it out the window when it comes to education, is my son had the intellectual horsepower to read. Yeah. He could read if he wanted to read, but he didn't want to read the word the. The word the is not sexy. It has no appeal to a kindergartner. They don't care. They don't like care about the word cat or dog or hat or sat.
Yeah.
They just don't care. But he cared about dinosaurs. And we would have this book on dinosaurs, and he would memorize all of the dinosaurs and all of their names, and it's like Diplodocus. You know, like they're insane names. And he could remember every single one of them. And like he was super into Godzilla. He could remember every single Godzilla, every single story, every single year the movie was made, but he did not care about the word the. And I think that makes sense. And I think a lot of teaching that we do, and I learned this when we were doing TKS, is we teach, we're like, just in case you ever need this, here it is, instead of going, well, what do you care about? And then what are the skills to get you better at or more into that thing? And then they're driving it going, I want to learn how to read because once I learn how to read, then this unlocks or I can do this or I can learn more about dinosaurs.
So it turns out if you don't have that investment, the need creates the demand to know that to learn the knowledge, right? And there feels like the value proposition is off in school.
Way off.
As a parent, I'm seeing it, and really becoming a parent shifted my thinking and teaching a bit more. Because as a teacher, I came in with this kind of belief that like, here's all of this stuff that is going to be really important for you. And now I have to figure out how you need to do it.
Yeah, you were probably a good student. Same. So I'm like, why don't you just learn this?
Why don't you just want this?
Yeah.
But it doesn't,
not a thing.
Not a thing.
I mean, you get lucky with a couple kids probably, but.
Well, and then I think then we kind of, those kids become the ones that are the smart kids or the
people pleasers.
The people pleasers or and
the real good rule followers.
Right. I was a good rule follower when I was younger. I've become more of a rule breaker as I go. Okay. So it's been an interesting.
It's unconditioning. I'm unconditioning.
Unlearning. I say unlearning.
I'm unlearning the ways of what school accidentally or taught. I mean, handling a classroom with a lot of kids is a lot. So I get you need to get order in the classroom.
Sure. I often say the educators are the innovators that we need because they are right there with the students.
They know.
They are surfacing the challenges.
Know. They're so smart. They have more education than all of us combined.
Very smart. And I think very thoughtful about what can work practically. And I often say I don't think it's I think all of us can grow and learn and strengthen our skills. So there's always that component. But there's also the very real reality of like the ways in which we've designed a system that is getting us I often will say this, people will say the system is broken. And I think what you just said is actually more true, which is it's designed to get the results we're getting. Yeah. So if we want a different outcome, let's redesign it. System. You do. And the systems person in you knows that from all the different roles you worked inside the systems that you've been in.
Systems are never broken. They give you exactly what they were meant to give you. So if you don't like the outcome, you have to relook at what's the system? What do we reward? How do we, make decisions in the system?
So when you think about with the So let's talk about TKS for a second.
Okay.
I think this would be a good thread to pull for some of the things that I'd love to unpack.
TKS is wild.
So when you introduced your role at the Knowledge Society, I had the opportunity to come in and observe some of this great work you were doing at Zappos. It was really exciting to me because you were really rethinking the relationship between adults and young people, the value proposition of what young people were learning, and what they were doing with what they were learning.
Yeah.
For whom. And sometimes at CFL, we say something really simple, which is we should be doing real work in public that matters. Like, how do we do more real work in public that matters?
Yeah.
And so I saw that happening at TKS.
Yeah.
And I saw really complex knowledge being unpacked and learned. And by the way, not stuff that you knew about. So it was really wonderful because coming from a more traditional education perspective, I have always felt, there's this belief, I think, that you learn so that you can teach.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a lot of facilitation happening. There was a lot of empowering happening. There was a lot of pointing people in the direction, helping them think through processes and getting durable skills that they could transfer to any problem-solving process, which I think is what I actually believe all of the things that we've been doing as teachers is actually for, all of that. That's what my teacher training was trying to help me get that. And I walk into this non-traditional classroom space with you and another gal, very brilliant, both of you. And just like, here, we're trying to figure this out. This is what we're doing. And I'm sitting there and it was engaging, it was complex, it was thought-provoking, it was exciting. So when we talk about TKS, talk about some of the process and outcomes. And I want to kind of connect that to like what that could mean for school.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it wasn't a replacement for school. So I can't say like I was responsible for teaching them like any of the basic or fundamental things. And these were kids that were from like 14 to 17 or 18, like a middle school, like a 7th grader to like a senior.
They'd gone through a fair amount of school already, so they knew some things.
They knew things, and we also interviewed them.
Yeah.
So we picked kids who wanted to be in the building, which is like 99% of it. Like, do you have something that a kid wants?
Yep.
Whatever that is. Like, who, even if it's like, we're going to learn how to do animation or whatever. Like, and then once you have them interview and then they feel like they got in, there's a little bit of like pride and feeling like I got into that thing. They saw something in me.
Yep.
Even if they don't really feel like they see it in themselves yet. There's like, so that's like the scene setting is like, you're here amongst these peers, you all tried out, and you all have something. And they trust that I'm an expert enough that I can like spot a thing, right?
Yes.
It's like, great. So they're all there. The main thing about TKS was a lot of exposure to different things. Like, we talked about stuff that no one talks about in school. Yeah. Because it's moving way too fast.
Sure.
Like quantum computing, genomics, all sorts of stuff, like nuclear fusion, fission, like these, they could kind of study whatever they wanted to. Yeah. And that was really exciting. So there was no like, here's the 10 things and this is it. It was, you could do anything. Yeah. And then every single session, we kind of would deep dive into something. Like, we deep dive into AI. We deep dive into, what's another? I'm trying to think of all the things, like genomics. We had all these different technologies that we would try to deep dive into, but there's too many to really. Sure. Each kid was asked to like learn a little bit about a lot of things, and we had these modules that were basically like a bunch of YouTube videos. Yeah. That were made for entertainment, educational purposes. We didn't make them. Sure. And they would watch those and get a sense of like, oh, do I like blockchain? Yeah. I loved blockchain was like one of my favorites. It's so fascinating. So they would be like, oh, do I like blockchain? And then they would pick that. And the theory behind everything was this, like, I don't know if I'm explaining. I feel like I'm explaining something to an educator and like not educated, not a professional way, but
you're doing great.
It's like a T. It's like you learn a little bit about a lot of things, and then when something is interesting to you, you go deep in that. And when you go deep in that thing is when they had to do like write an article or make a presentation. They could kind of pick their own adventure there. They could make a podcast. They could film something. Like, I didn't care how they had to teach me about the thing, not me teach them about the thing. Yes. But so that was the main thing. And then the more T's that they had, the more interesting it got. Because we all know as adults, the more specialties you have and expertise, that aren't even similar, the more interesting stuff you create because you have these diverse
so
knowledge.
You're pulling them together in different ways. That's where creativity comes from.
You're like, so maybe they go deep in blockchain and then they go deep in genomics and then they figure out a way that you could sell just pieces of your genetic information for research instead of your whole genetic, chain for research because you're not comfortable with that. Sure. But maybe they're just doing a diabetes study and they're just like, we just need this much info. Yeah. When we're going to pay you for it. And they're going to use blockchain in order to, they start coming up with crazy stuff that are truly novel things because the technologies are so novel. Okay. So that was the main.
I need to pause for a second because I want to reflect on what I just heard you say.
Crazy.
Because there's a lot of things that were embedded in that. And help me make sense of them. Okay. So I'm worried I'm not going to capture them all. So one thing that I heard you say right off the bat is they learned a lot about a little to begin.
Yes.
They learned, right?
Yeah.
To start.
Yeah.
To start. Mm-hmm. And then they had choice about where they went deep.
Yep.
And then they had to go really deep.
Yep.
And then they had to authentically create something because we all know that when you have to teach something, you actually understand it.
Yep.
So then,
100%.
Right. So instead of you being the teacher, they became the teacher.
They were the teacher. They taught all the rest of the students the thing.
Right. And so they were now responsible for doing something of value, which was making sure other people could understand something.
Yes. And it was a very feedback heavy culture. So me and
say more about that.
my assistant director, our job was to give feedback. Yes. It wasn't to tell them what to do or what to study, but we would give them feedback. And I don't know how to give feedback like a teacher. I never once gave a grade. I gave them real world feedback. So, for example, we taught them to get on LinkedIn. We taught them how to write a cold reach out to someone. We taught them how to write articles. They all have Medium accounts. We're write an article about the thing. Yeah. They're going to be bad at first, but they're going to get better and better and better. And now you're creating this portfolio of work.
Also, another learning in public.
They're learning in public.
I mean, the portfolio.
No one has to see it, but it is creating a portfolio that they could reference. Yes. I had to write a Medium article to see what it was like. Yes. So I have a Medium article about nanoparticles or something. But when we would give them feedback, I spent all my time giving feedback. That's all I did. Sometimes I would start to read a Medium article and I'd say, I didn't make it past the first paragraph because I just did not care.
Yeah.
Because that's the real world, right?
Yeah, sure
You want someone to read your stuff? That first paragraph better have something interesting in it. Why do you care about this? Why did you pick this as your focus? Why did you spend half an hour, 2 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks to write this article? Pull me in. I want to live in your world. And so they started to understand how they consume stuff. And then they started retraining or unconditioning themselves from their school writing. And I'm not saying learning how to write in school is bad. I'm saying in the real world, I've never written a 5-paragraph deductive essay because that wasn't the point of learning how to write that.
Yeah.
So these kids have to then learn, why would you read an article? Give it to your friend, give it to your peer. How far do they make it? Tell them they can stop whenever they stop wanting to. So there was many things, my feedback was I didn't want to read it. And then we talk about why. Why don't you want to read it? I wouldn't just be and we're done. I'd be I would start interviewing them.
Yeah.
Why'd you write this? What's the most interesting thing you learned about this? Put that in the very top. Don't bury that in the last. I'm not a teacher. I don't have to read the last paragraph of this thing.
Well, and when I had the opportunity to come in and watch some of their presentations, it was their pitches.
Like a hackathon.
It was a hackathon.
Oh,
so it was
kids love hackathons.
Yes, they do. I do. I think
they're
actually
great.
If I think most people would because
they're so fun.
They're time bound. You're building towards something. It's
It's
public.
equal ground. No one's walking in with extra work being done.
No, it's really authentic. And I think that they were so invested. And I want to come back to that because you said that was a really key piece. The kids chose to be there.
They chose to be there.
And so a lot of people who are listening to this are maybe in a school and they're like, well, that's the fundamental challenge. I'm going to tell you something. I went to a magnet high school and I wanted to be there. I was compelled by what I saw on stage. I wanted to learn how to do that. I wanted to be a part of it. I felt moved to be there. And then when I became a high school teacher, I taught in 2 schools that were just zone schools. And it was, and even through my student teaching, it was just such a shift because I was like, why are you here? And it was just well, I have to be. And And it was something that, so in my own space and in my own programs, I had to create a real value proposition for why are we a dancer at Spring Valley High School?
Good.
What does that mean?
That's smart.
Right? And how do we
You're
brand that?
lucky to get to be a dancer at this school.
And this is what it means.
Is the school.
And maybe you won't want to take this class because we're going to explore this, and that's okay.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
not for everybody.
Right? And so I think there is a tension around how we've set up schooling because it's like you have to be here. But that doesn't mean we can't create value propositions in every school that we're in.
I agree.
Right? And
you have to think, I think if they thought about schools like a business and your client are those kids and those teachers, things would dramatically change.
In what ways?
So when as like a business owner, I have to work so hard to get you in the door. And then once you're in the door, I have to make sure you want to come back.
Yes.
It's like this never ending, we have this relationship. And business is a meritocracy. In a moment you could go, I don't want to be here. What schools do you know that are teaching kids how to be YouTubers or influencers?
Yeah, well, there are programs within schools, right, where like they're able to explore like in their video.
But it's like journalism, and I'm like, these kids,
they need they
want to be YouTubers.
Every single one of them, not every
that
single one of them. So many of them though. It's like I want to do this. I remember a student that I interviewed. Well, we were doing some change work at the state level around like, what do we really need? Like, what are the mindsets and skills we need for the future? And how do we actually name those things and then start to look at what we're doing and say, how does school actually help us develop those things? I talked to a student at a school. He already had his own business out of his garage, cutting hair. And he was like, Miss, I'm not getting anything that's helping me do what I want to do. And he was a 10th grader. Yeah. And like, this needed support with business, like business, accounting, all of this. And he was like, but he was already
That's not what you're learning, though. That's not what you're learning in public school. You're not learning any of that.
No. And so I also think that, as kids get older, right, the agency, as adults as we age, we understand we have enough skills to have more agency. Yeah. And we're not, I think some of the things we do that's not even fair, because I actually think there's a lot of great things happening in pre-K and kindergarten that we walk away from.
Oh, good.
That we walk away from. In terms of playing and learning and developing those skills and trying it out. And I think those things, in service of, we need to make sure you know these things. Yeah. And I think there's just the balance feels off around making sure you know the thing and actually, like, you're a human who actually has a point of view, even in a pretty young age. How do we start capturing that and sparking that and allowing that to drive what you're learning?
How do you give kids the audacity? Yeah. How do you give kids the audacity? Like, those TKS kids had the audacity to get on a stage and pitch you something they'd only been working on for like 3 hours.
Yes, it was monumentally impressive. I think many adults would be terrified to do that.
Oh, adults would not. And there was a couple kids that looked like they might fall apart. Sure. But later in the year, they didn't. And I think, like, as a business owner, there's a lot of other, as a solopreneur also, I don't have a business partner. I own 100% of the business. It's literally just me and the amazing team I've hired. They're amazing. Yeah. But, like, you have this sense of, okay, well, how am I going to get this business to work and survive? And it's on you. And I have friends who own businesses that are similar but different to mine, and they refuse to be on Instagram. They refuse to be in front of a camera. Yeah. They don't want to even do a voiceover. And nowadays, that's table stakes. To get out there and be like, hi, I built this thing for you because I believe it's going to make the world better. Or it's going to solve a problem for you. And they can't even say it. And they're passionate about their business. Yeah. It's insane. And, like, the world has changed. What kids want to do has changed. And I don't see schools embracing. Yeah, you can still teach all the literacy, all the math, all the things in the context of, you want to be a YouTuber? Great. Have you read a contract?
Well, exactly.
I don't know. You want to? How do you think they make money? Right. They get brand deals. Well, then how do you negotiate a brand deal? How much money should you ask for? What does that look like? How do you know it's a good deal? Like, these are the things. And with AI, a lot of the basic stuff we're teaching kids is not useful in any way because they're going to ask AI. And they need the discretion to understand if AI is blowing smoke up their butt, because it does. Yeah. And they need to know how to ask good questions and understand, like, what next steps are. Yeah. But they don't have to know everything. Yeah. Like, it's school the whole premise of school in my mind was, I'm going to teach you everything you know about this part of Greek history, and you need to be an expert in just this thing I'm teaching you.
Yeah.
And like in no way in the real world, in my experience, I'm not a lawyer or a doctor though, is that how it works? Is like I have to know everything and every answer that's ever going to show up. In fact, that's like the opposite. You have to have the confidence that you'll figure it out because there isn't necessarily a right answer.
Well, and I think you're dancing around something that I think is really interesting. So I'm a 2-time historian right here.
All right.
And so, not Greek history. I think let's see if I can even remember what my thesis was on, like British women's history circa like, it was like a lot on tea drinking, which apparently in like the 1700s,
so everyone didn't die? It was like a health thing?
Well, actually, women sitting around a table drinking tea together was very subversive.
Oh, yes.
Because they were talking to each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you keep women out of power is you separate them from everything and everyone.
So
sure.
The tea drinking that was happening as a through line for women's identity, power, agency, very, very interesting story. It wasn't the actual thing, though. It's always the skills in understanding, like grappling with multiple narratives and being able to tease out like what this historian was writing about, what this person said, this primary source document, and being able to like triangulate them and make sense of them.
Yeah.
I think those skills are critical skills in an AI world.
Right? It's not memorizing history.
No.
You're like, we know what needs to. We have books. We have resources.
Like, wait, what were the dates on that? Like, but it's actually understanding the deeper change over time. And I think, 20 years ago when I was studying to be a great history teacher, which I became a dance teacher, so that worked out really well. But when studying to do that, it was never about the actual, yes, you need to know the things.
Yes.
But it's actually about how you grapple with those things. And we don't spend enough time. I don't think we often get deep enough. And when I interview students and they are in those spaces, they're lit up.
Yes.
Because it is rigorous. It is challenging. It's exciting. It's meaningful. But the best teachers are making those connections to the world that they're in, and they're inviting them to take those historical skills or those critical thinking skills in whatever context and transfer them to conversations that are interesting to them.
Yes.
And that's where I think there's this like, you have to know these things, but it's actually like, what about doing this is important, and how do we spend more time on that?
Yeah, who cares?
Like whatever you read, I just love the push on like, what are you reading? Like, how about a contract? If you want to do something. I have to tell you, my son, that would speak to him so loudly right now.
There's so many. I mean, my favorite thing about business is that it is all of the things. There isn't one thing that you don't need in business. And even when you're like, well, I don't need to know health. It's like,
you do.
Wait till you're an entrepreneur, because it's like the school of hard knocks where it's like 30 years of therapy before your business door even opens.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's important. You have to be in physical shape. You have to be in mental shape. Like you can't tell me health doesn't. And so that's the one thing I'm like super biased I love about business is like, you could use business as like the foundation for a kid learning literally anything on earth. I always come back to like thinking like a business person is thinking like a problem solver.
It's not being a solution in search of a problem either.
No.
It's really being really clear on those unsurfaced, unmet needs. And I think like you've done with Republic Goods, because I have a whole thing of clothes, thank you, because my daughter and I love your store.
Nice.
And she really loves your store. I want to I love you.
Awesome.
And like I'm like, oh, this is fun. She's like, I want to go into the booths. And she can't find anything that fits her, and she tries all the stuff on because she's
like a small size.
She's a little tiny. She's in 3rd grade. She loves the texture. She loves looking at the things, and she's like, let's go clean out her closet and make a booth, Mom, because she wants to tag it.
Yes.
She wants to think about what that's like. She's like, oh, this, you can sell this. It's real.
That's my dream, is that someone comes in there and I somehow accidentally trick them into becoming an entrepreneur because they get like a taste of it and they go, oh, I like owning a store in a store. This is so great. Actually, like the getting the report and making sales. And so they kind of like, that's like my big fantasy is like it kind of creates all these entrepreneurs in theory, but like.
And what I want to also offer that I think that academia, I think brings what I think it can bring to the table is exposure and context also. I think that it's not that we don't have a lot of great things foundationally in it. It's what are we doing with it that meets kids where they are and meets the world where it is too, and gives them the opportunity to deep dive on those skills that are going to be the things that take you through like lifelong learning, which is what I really appreciate about your journey. Because you're not stopping.
No.
It's not like you learned, you went to college and then you graduated and now you have a job and now I just think I love that you're like, well, I'm nonlinear. And I'm like, I think our lives are really nonlinear.
Yeah. I think there's like a handful of people, and I'm raising one of them, where they're like, I know what I want to be my whole life and this is it. But to me, that is so unusual. And he will just keep going down that rabbit hole. I mean, he'll keep gaining skills, so it becomes a more interesting path he's on. But most people I talk to are still like, I'm still figuring out what I like versus what society told me I had to like, or I'm curious what I would learn if I wasn't forced to learn that and try to seek approval. Like, what do I like? What major would I have picked? Or if I could have been exposed to more things. I grew up in Vegas, middle class, never met an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to be a scientist, and then I literally thought that wasn't a real job, and that I made up the story that when I said that to people, I wanted to be a genetic engineer. And I thought that people in their heads were thinking, she's so stupid. She didn't even know that's not a real job, because I never met a scientist.
Well, this is something we're actually talking a lot about
It's
at
insane.
State and local levels right now, is actually career-connected learning,
Yes.
which is exposure and to, I mean, the world is just on fire with change, right? So how do we start to think about and explore and be exposed to all of the things that you're describing, just such diverse career pathways to help open up and connect, wait, if I'm learning this, it could spark this. And that is something I think universally, wherever people fall on the spectrum of what they think is important about school, people are really kind of aligned on more real world experiences would be great. More career connected experiences would be great. So we're helping, we're not graduating young people who are like, I don't know what to do next. Or maybe I don't even know what I'm excited about.
I 100% agree. I think we need to get every person who's in a career get their butt in a classroom, or get their butt in and be realistic. I know a lot of people who picked a career because they were sold it was so great and like people looked up to it, and then they do the job and there's a lot of drawbacks.
Yeah.
And I think you need to tell kids not just a sexy version of like being a doctor or being an entrepreneur. You need to tell them sometimes it looks like this and some days it looks like this.
From my perspective, I think it's not just about pushing somebody down a pathway, but it's actually, I think, making meaning of what you're learning and how you could apply it.
You love history?
Yes.
How can I support you to be so passionate about history that you will 100% figure out how to make a living in history because you love it so much?
Right.
Instead of, historians, they make nothing.
That's your option.
Or whatever.
Right.
You have to be a teacher and that's the only path. Like,
right.
These linear paths are limiting our kids here.
Yeah, so I think when we talk about really having these like empowering pathways for young people, it's not just being able to walk down a path, but it's able to pick up the things along the way and make your own path. And that's what that's why I invited you here today, because that's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you've done.
That's more fun, off-road with me. I see it. You know what's funny is I see it in the store. So when you shop secondhand, it is the opposite of shopping in a regular retail store.
And that's why I love that my daughter loves it. I'm like, she has so much clarity, point of view, perspective. She's developing a sense of herself and her taste and what speaks to her.
Yes. You have to go off-road. So I worked in fashion for a long time at Zappos, and I saw how all of it works. And when you go into a store like Target or Alo or whatever your favorite store is, they have a team of designers that build out a line, and everything kind of is themed. They have there's like layers of people, but one person is kind of going, this is cohesive line. And sometimes you'll go into like an Alo or Lululemon or whatever, and literally there's 4 colors.
Yeah.
Everything is 4 colors. You can match it in any way. It all matches. We made sure the color palette is this. It's like not offensive in any way.
Yep.
And you're all going to look the same.
Yep.
But all of you are going to buy this because it's also not offensive in any way and whatever. And so that's how everything is built. And then when you shop thrifting, it's a great time to kind of be like, well, what do I like?
Yeah.
Because there aren't there's no cohesive, like someone came up with the plan and here's a perfect put together outfit.
No.
There's not even always your size. You can shop all the genders. In a regular retail store, I never look in the men's section. In secondhand, I'm all up in the men's section because there's so many gems in the men's section.
Yep.
So like everything switches. And so I think that people who shop secondhand and are comfortable off-roading in that way, in their personal style and shopping in that way, it's like a skill that they've learned that can apply also to every aspect of their life. And when I see someone who's like, I don't have time, or I don't want to do that, or I don't know, just give me the exact outfit from Target, like, I don't know, I'm in a hurry or whatever. I'm just like, that's fine, but how many other aspects of your life are you missing out on? Like your true authentic expression, or the off-road path is really fun.
Yeah.
You know, but so yeah, I see it in the store. It's wild.
I don't know that there could be a better metaphor to close out that conversation around learning than what
Pick
you just
your own
described.
adventure. Yeah. Are you comfortable picking
Yeah.
your own adventure and having your own perspective?
And the reality is, once you exit schooling, that the rest of your life is not mapped out.
No. And there's not many tests, scantrons after that either.
There aren't, are there? So what now what? And I feel like young people increasingly are astute to this.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's some of the dissonance that we're feeling too, because they're ready with access to YouTube and technology. They are making sense of things. They are curating their fashion, their identity, their point of view, and they need the skills to be doing it more authentically right now.
One year we had this Lady Gaga challenge. She has a foundation for mental health for the youth.
Yep.
And so we brought them in. They're like, here's the problem we have.
Yeah.
We don't know how to reach students. We don't know how to reach this age group. We don't know exactly what you guys like. We need your help coming up with ideas of how we meet you where you're at and get you whatever you need to make better mental health decisions or ask for help.
Yeah.
And we have all the resources for help. We just need to be able to engage with like teenagers. And so that was like the problem, which is how real world problems show up, right? They're like very ambiguous and open-ended, and there's no real, like, this is the obvious
There's no
choice.
one right answer.
There's no right, there could be 3,000 right answers.
Sure.
Like, who knows? And so I remember we were sitting in like a circle on the ground, and I'm sitting there with the students, and I go, okay, we're going to divide into groups. I worked on a lot of things and projects with, in groups. And I was like, what are you guys thinking? Blah, blah, blah. I already talked about like what's legit, what's not legit, like how to like fact check sources.
Yeah.
But like you can use whatever. I go, you can ask all your classmates for all I care. Like that's a good data point. You're the ideal customer.
The consumer, so
and they were just like, ooh, we can use anything? And I was like, yeah. You should use whatever makes sense. And I'm not going to do this with you. I'm just here to like help you. And I brought in the challenge.
Yeah.
And they were like, their minds were blown. And one of them said, I've never had to solve a problem that I wasn't told where to find the answer and that there was a correct answer. And I was like, holy, these are high schoolers.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, isn't this fun? And they were like, it is sort of cool. And I was like, all right, let's see what you come up with. Because ultimately at the end, they all came up with different stuff. And then they presented it back to the foundation. And then the foundation kind of picked what they thought was the best thing.
Yeah.
But, and that's where it got really interesting is when they realized like they were their own limit. Not me. I was going to tell them they couldn't research that or talk to anyone.
Sure.
They were their own limit. And that is like a huge lesson in life is like, in the real world, there isn't a teacher to tell you no or like provide guidance. You are like your own limiter of your life.
Yeah.
And so that was really like a wow moment with education. And they were smart. They are such smart kids. But they never were presented an opportunity to solve something that adults actually try to solve that adults could not solve for them.
Yeah.
I couldn't solve it for them. They had to solve it. It was wild.
I mean, talk about that's empowering.
It was I
empowering.
loved it. I think if every teacher could experience that, they'd be like, yes, this is why we do this.
All right, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions here, okay? So just answer with your first instinct. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. AI in education, creative partner or chaos machine?
Oh, creative partner.
Grades.
Good luck ignoring AI and hoping you could just. Good luck with that.
Grades, useful feedback or performance theater?
Ooh, I love feedback, but no, I don't love grades.
College, primary pathway or one option among many?
One option among many.
Real learning happens most in school, mentors, community, internet, hands-on experiences.
Wherever you are engaged is where learning is happening. Otherwise, you are just sitting in
everywhere.
Butts and seats.
Answer is everywhere, wherever you are. Oh,
wherever you're engaged, you're learning. Wherever you're butts and seats, you are attendance.
One word only. The future of learning is?
God. The future of learning is... I don't have anything like very excited. It's here. This is I don't know what we're freaking waiting for. It's here today. Today's the day. Let's do it. Like,
I don't know what word I would have said if I was asked, but after this conversation, the word that comes up for me is audacious.
Audacious. You gotta have the audacity. Even to like cut hair as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Who the heck gave that kid permission to do that?
Yeah.
Good for him or her, them.
Yeah.
That's insane. So, yeah. That's so cool.
Such a fun conversation.
Yes.
Non-linear at its best.
Oh my gosh. I have a Janine story before we go though.
Oh no.
So I love, speaking of audacity, when you were young and we were in the Sun Youth Forum, and this is like such like a strong memory for me, but where you're in a room of your peers and like some of us like want to be leader. Like I always want to be in charge.
Sure.
But like that doesn't mean you have like the skills nor you should be. But I like had the audacity. The confidence always. Thank you, Mom, for all of that. But I remember there's all of these kids and you have to elect like the one person that's going to like represent all your diverse thoughts and like chaotic feelings or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you at all. And I remember you were so eloquent and you were so calm, which is unusual for like teenagers.
Yeah.
And you just very calmly were like, well, this is what I heard or whatever. And I was like, her. I was even like, I know, it's not me.
You tell
and
me.
You had the audacity to be like, I got this, and I got this for all of us. And it was so clear. I don't think anyone was like, no, I should do it. Everyone was like, yeah, I agree. You are the person who is great for that. So ever since you were young, you had that same like through line of like, I'm going to listen well.
Yep.
I'm going to repeat what I've heard. I'm going to pull the gems out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like calm throughout the whole thing, which I have no chill, obviously, as a human. So,
well, you've told me this memory before, and
I love it.
I don't have this memory.
Well, it's my first impression of you,
and I don't remember meeting you, and I don't
because I didn't leave an impression.
Okay,
I was like nothing. I just was I was observing you, going, oh, that's how you do that.
Interesting.
Because I was engaged in learning. It was a moment, and I go, oh, this. I remembered you. I remembered your name, and I was like, that's how you do that. That's how you show up as a stranger in a room, and you become the leader.
But like, so cool, and thank you for that moment. And also, like, how cool that you were making sense of that, right? Because
I was taking notes.
Because like,
I was like,
we're making sense of things all the time.
Yes.
And to me, as we try to put a pin on this incredible conversation, have another one in the future, like the ability to like sense make.
Yeah.
That's what you were doing there.
I was engaged. I wanted to be the leader, and it was obvious to me that I was not the best leader. And so I was like, what the hell is this chick doing? And so I remember you, Jeanine, from high school.
Well, as I have followed your journey, I have been like, yes, more of that, please. So thank you. Thank you.
Mutual respect.
Yes,
mutual
absolutely.
Respect.
This is so fun.
Yes,
all right.
for sure.
All right.
Woo,
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
You're listening to the CFL podcast, where possibility is at work. Here, we explore what it means to empower learners, connect communities, create impact, and help Nevada thrive. Each episode shares stories and ideas from the people reimagining what learning can look like in our community and beyond. Because when we learn, build, and dream together, anything is possible.